Hello, dear English teachers in Peru and English teachers around the world. It's great to have you with us again. Welcome to another session of our spring webinar series, Innovation and Didactic Strategies in English Language Teaching. The session for today is Effective Digital Resources to Improve Students' Language Skills. I'd like to invite you to follow us on our social networks, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and follow us on TikTok. Here we have some instructions that we have to take into account. Please, teachers, don't forget to type your questions in the comment section. The answers to your questions and comments will be replied by our guest speaker at the end of the webinar in the question time section. When finishing the webinar, we will share a link for you to have access to the exit ticket, which will be available for 15 minutes. Don't forget, please, to answer the questions in the exit ticket. Now it's time to know our guest speaker for today's webinar. Please, teacher David Cuadros, could you introduce him?
Yes, of course, Miss. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hello, Miss Sulamita and everybody. Well, I'm honored of introducing one of the most talented youngest English teacher here in Peru. Yes, I am talking about Mr. Michael Navarro. Michael is a passionate language teacher and teacher trainer who is constantly looking for ways to enhance his teaching skills. He has taken different methodology and training courses like ELT, TFL, training the teachers, and so on, as well as international examinations such as TKT Core, TKT, CLIL, FCE. Well, he is currently teaching adults and teenagers in a prestigious institute based in the USA. Michael regularly conducts training online via webinars and also helps educators embrace technology in their lessons. Please welcome Mr. Michael Navarro.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that lovely introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here one more time. It's great to share, my knowledge, my expertise one more time, because something that I like doing is to spend a lot of time investigating, doing a lot of research. And in this case, I'm gonna provide you with a new topic, which is called Effective Digital Resources to Improve a Student's Language Skills. And I'm happy about it because it's connected to technology. When we talk about innovation, we talk about technology, digital resources, but today we're gonna see more than that, okay? Now, before we start the session, I just want to ask you this simple question. I know it's Saturday. I know you're sacrificing your Saturdays for the sake of your students. So I would like to ask you this. Where are you today on the PAPI scale? Are you feeling maybe like picture number 1, maybe number 2, 3, 4, 5? Please type the number that represents your mood best, okay? For example, in my case, I'm feeling like picture number 6. I'm over the moon because I'm gonna share another training session with you, and I'm gonna provide you with new tools, strategies, and techniques. Yes, so please, in the chat box or in the comment section, yes, provide me with some feedback. How are you feeling today? Yes, I'm gonna read your comments. Let's see. Ooh, we have number 7, number 4, number 1, number 6, number 2. Nice. Okay. Great. Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you so much, teachers. So what are we going to see today? Today, we are going to learn innovative tools and strategies. Okay, by the end of the session, teachers will be able to utilize effective teaching resources to supplement their students' learning. And by the end of the session, teachers will be able to efficiently select and adapt materials according to their students' needs. Okay, and I would like to start my presentation with a story. Let me know in the comment section, do you like stories? Or do you use stories in your classroom? Let me know, please, only with a yes or no answer. Do you use stories in your classroom, and do you like stories? Let me know, please. Great, excellent. Nice, excellent. We have many teachers who love stories and who use stories in their classes. That's amazing. So let me share with you this personal story. Okay, you know that when the pandemic started, I decided to help a lot of teachers, and I started to offer free webinars. So one of my former students from one of my teaching courses asked me to observe his class so that I could give him some feedback on his teaching performance. This is known as peer observation. Now, if you want to take the TKT, Yes. Exam, you need to get familiar with this terminology. So what is peer observation? Peer observation is about teachers observing each other's practices and learning from one another, right? The purpose of peer observation is that you can learn, yes, from your colleagues, right? By giving each other some suggestions, tips on how you can improve your performance in the classroom, right? So I was observing his lesson, right? And I was taking notes, right? And I was writing down some suggestions, tips, right? And recommendations. So something that I noticed was this. As soon as the class started, okay, Mike said, now I'm using a fictional name. Mike said, okay, class, let's open our books and let's go to page 33. Red flag. Not to mention that Mike was using this book, Understanding and Using English Grammar 5th edition Pearson. Now, if you're familiar with this course book, let me tell you that this course book has a lot of grammar exercises. I'm not saying that grammar is not good. It's actually important, right? But this book in particular has loads of grammar exercises. And this is how Mike started his class. Not even a minute passed, and the students were feeling bored, disengaged, demotivated. And I noticed that because of the body language, right? Because of the gestures that they had, right? So my question is, teachers, what suggestions or teaching tips would you give to Mike to make their lessons more effective? Before I give you my recommendations, I would like to brainstorm as many ideas as we can, okay? So let's put on our teacher's hats, and let's provide Mike with some solutions, okay? Please, in the chat box, okay, what suggestions or tips would you give to Mike? What would you do if you were in Mike's shoes? Go ahead. I'm gonna read your comments. Let's see. Oh, Keira said, teacher, I would use icebreakers. That's an interesting one. Yes. To make use of icebreakers, maybe to build rapport. Excellent. Victoria said, I need to motivate my students. Catherine said, I would ask my students to work in groups or in pairs. Excellent. Collaborative activities. Nice. Warm-up stage. Okay. Using a game. Excellent. Warm-ups. Fantastic. Okay. Games. Excellent. Icebreakers. Okay. Nice. A riddle. Pamela said a riddle. I like riddles, by the way. Brainstorming. Okay. Excellent. Yes. A leading. Fantastic. Okay. Eliberto said, I would teach grammar in a deductive way. Okay. Okay. Great. But here we're referring to what can we do, you know, as soon as the lesson starts? Should we ask our students to open the book, right? What can we do instead of it, right? Warm-ups, again, excellent. Brain gym, ooh, I like that one. Songs, icebreakers, wow, you have loads of ideas. Excellent. Nice. Role plays. Great. So let me show you some of the suggestions, right, that I wrote for Mike. Now, Mike should increase his repertoire of teaching instruments, right? The only thing that Mike used during the whole class was the course book. And as I said before, oh, that book, I love that book, by the way, but it contains a lot of grammar exercises, which is good. But what else can we add in addition to the course book, right? Number 2, Mike should get to know their students and personalize their lessons. This is something that I wrote as well in my journal, right? And this is what you said as well, right? You said that Mike should have used icebreakers, warm-up activities, right? Brain gym, riddles, right? So before you start a lesson, you need to put students into English mode, right? Now, Mike should look for innovative strategies and resources to provide support to their students. It was a 2-hour lesson, and the only thing that the students were doing were grammar exercises. But most importantly, and somebody mentioned this in the chat box, Mike should use supplementary materials. And this is what we're going to see today. So as soon as the class ended, teachers, I conducted a needs analysis. I said, you know, Mike, we have to do this. We have to do a needs analysis. And you might be wondering, Michael, what is a needs analysis? A needs analysis allows teachers to collect data, valuable information from their students. Okay, before you start a course, or if you're about to start a course, right, at least during the first week, you must know your students. Why are they studying English? What is their cultural background? Where do they come from? Those are simple questions that we can ask our students. Now, those questions don't have to be in English. If you are teaching beginners, you can give them a form and they can answer those questions in Spanish. Because remember, we are not evaluating our students. The purpose of a needs analysis is to analyze our students' cultural background, to get to know our students' interests, passions, and motivations. Okay? And let me read this reference that I have. It says, a needs analysis contains the following 3 elements: an analysis of the learner's language, information about the learner, and beliefs about the learning process. What do you think? Now, let me show you one example of a needs analysis, okay? And I'm gonna show you some questions. This is the first technique that I want to share with you, so you should check this. When I give private lessons as well, and when I give private lessons, before we start the class, I always send this form to my potential students. And these are some of the questions that I ask. What experience do you have learning English? What are your main 3 reasons for learning English? What do you find most difficult when learning English? And most importantly, what level of English do you currently have? So by doing a needs analysis, I'm able to take better teaching decisions. And you will be able to select the right materials for your classroom. Because it's not about using all the fancy software that we have now on the internet. It's about selecting materials properly, effectively. And in order to do this, again, I insist, you need to do a needs analysis. Let me know what you think about this strategy. Do you carry out needs analysis in your classroom? Is it the first time that you've heard about this term? Let me know, please, in the comment section. I'm eager to read your comments. Okay, so provide me with some feedback. Let's see. Great. Excellent. Maria Rodriguez said, teacher, I totally agree with you. Thanks. Yeah, we're in the same boat. Excellent. Yes, teacher, I do needs analysis. I do a needs analysis with my classroom. Excellent. That's good. Nice. Fantastic. Okay. So in the needs analysis that I carried out with Mike's students, we came to the conclusion that these students were learning English because they were planning to travel to the States and work there. That was the reason. They are adults who have a family to provide for, and they spend quality time with their relatives and love to do outdoor activities. This piece of information allowed me to personalize my classes, right? Okay, so they are parents. We can talk about parenting. We can talk about education, right? Now, if they were planning to travel to the States and work there, they were supposed to learn different communicative strategies, different phrases, right? However, Mike was using a lot of grammar exercises that, as I said before, it's not that it's completely bad, but according to the needs of our students, they need speaking practice because they are going to travel to the States. They need to learn how to communicate, how to express their ideas confidently, right? Because they will probably get a job, right? And in order to improve in order to increase your career prospects, you need to have a good command of English. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the job that you aspire to get, right? And finally, they struggle to communicate with other people. So this information was taken from the needs analysis that I carried out. I sent this data to Mike, and Mike came to the conclusion that he had to use supplementary materials. Now, the question is, what are supplementary materials? Supplementary materials. They are books and other materials that we use in addition to the course book. As simple as that. Books or other materials that we use in addition to the course book. Apart from the course book that we always use in class, what else, right? What other things can I incorporate into my classroom, right? So teachers, I need your help again. Could you provide me with some examples of supplementary materials? In the chat box, please. Yes, I'm gonna read your comments. What are some other examples of supplementary materials? Yes. Let's do another brainstorming. What supplementary materials do you use in your classes? Yes. Let's see what ideas we have from the audience. Oh, excellent. Elibet said songs, pictures. What else? Oh, Sarah mentioned a nice digital tool, Edpuzzle, games, cue cards, pictures, flashcards, word cards, apps. Interesting. Songs, comics, flashcards, pictures, music. Wow, you see? It looks like we use a lot of supplementary materials, right? Excellent. Games. Okay. Great. Okay, great. Nice. Songs, pictures, fantastic. Nice. Good. So, this is what we're gonna do. Let me show you some examples that you probably mentioned in the chat box. Class library of readers, skills practice books, teachers resource books, right? Digital resources. Now you mentioned Edpuzzle, Wordwall. Okay, digital resources, digital tools that we can use in our classroom, right? And I'm showing you some examples that we're gonna see later on. Games to learn English, Vocaroo. We have podcasts. We're gonna talk about authentic materials later on. 6 minutes English. Great, excellent, nice teachers, and you continue providing me with more ideas. Excellent teachers, fantastic. Even apps, absolutely, Maria. Apps, pictures, word cards, songs, excellent. Word search, okay, nice. And the list goes on. So what are the benefits of using supplementary materials? First of all, they can enhance students' motivation about a topic. And that's completely true, right? Remember that my students were demotivated, right? Because they were just using the course book. So by using supplementary materials, your students will be able to engage with the topic or with the materials that you provide them with. Supplementary resources encourage learning and provide support to students who struggle with certain topics. And how do you know if one student is struggling with one topic? By doing a needs analysis, right? And by constantly assessing the student, right? Number 3, to replace material in the course book. And that's completely true, teachers. I've seen a lot of teachers who use activities that are in the course book because they feel forced to it. But what if you modify the material? Or what if you replace the material with something that is more appropriate or suitable for the class? That will be more meaningful for the students. And finally, to give the students appropriate material according to their specific needs and interests, right? Okay. So another important thing that we must remember is what aspects should we consider when selecting supplementary materials or resources? What should we consider before selecting resources, right? Now, you might be wondering, oh, Michael, like you should give me the tools now. Okay, I'm gonna give you the tools, I'm gonna give you the resources, but if you don't know how to carefully select resources, you will not be able to cater to your students' needs, okay? And I want to emphasize these, teachers. It's not about how many tools, how many PPT slides I prepare. It's about how effective you are with the resources that you currently have, okay? So number 1, and I already showed you an example, you need to conduct a needs analysis. Be familiar with the course book and syllabus. The more familiar you are, the better, because you are going to understand your students' learning outcomes, the aims, the competency, and the language level. And this is the question that you saw in the needs analysis. Yes, what is your current level of English? Are you an absolute beginner? Are you an intermediate student? Are you an advanced student, right? You need to know your students' proficiency levels, right? Your students' proficiency level. And number 4, I need your ideas. What other aspects, teachers, should we consider when choosing supplementary materials? I already gave you 3 aspects that we should consider, but what else? What are your thoughts on this? Remember, I want you to think. Even though we're not physically together, I still want your participation, okay? I don't want you to be passive students. I want you to be active contributors, okay? So provide me with some ideas, please. What aspects should we consider when selecting materials? I'm gonna read your comments. Let's see. Excellent. Liliana said we need to select materials according to the purpose of the class, students' needs, the level of understanding. Thank you, Iris. Excellent. The context, yes, absolutely. The context is important. Very good. Students' interests, fantastic. The content, new words, okay. Exactly. Very good, Julie. When you select some tools or resources, you need to ask yourself, what are my students' learning outcomes? Why am I using this resource? Is it because I want to prove that I know how to use digital tools? Or is it because I want to help my students? simple questions that will make you a more reflective teacher and, most importantly, a more effective educator. Excellent, fantastic. Thank you, teachers. So let's begin. Let me show you now. Let me show you the tools, okay? And I strongly suggest having a pencil or a pen, and also a blank sheet of paper, yes, so that you can jot down some of the resources that I will show you today, okay? Now, let's begin with productive skills. Teachers, what do I mean by productive skills? What skills are involved when I refer to productive skills? Let's see. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So remember that when we talk about skills, we talk about speaking, listening, writing. Yes. But what do I mean by productive skills? Productive skills. What skills are involved? Excellent, Julie. Fantastic. Speaking and writing. Yes, or writing and speaking. Yes, absolutely. Very good, teachers. Fantastic. Productive skills, writing and speaking, right? Because my students are producing the language. So, Michael, what tools or what resources do you recommend when it comes to teaching productive skills? Let me share some resources with you. Let's see. This is one activity. Let's do the activity first, and then I will share the link with you. Okay? Look at these houses. This is a simple warm-up that you can do with your students. If you had the chance to live in one of these houses, which one would you pick? Now you have 6 different options. House 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we have famous people there. Yes, we have Justin Bieber, Demi Lovato, Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo. We have Gordon Ramsay, Jennifer Aniston. So in the chat box or in the comment section, which of these houses would you pick and why? For example, I must confess, teachers, in my case, I would go for house number 5. Yes. I have a crush on J-Lo. Yes. And Gordon Ramsay is there, so he can cook delicious food for free, right? What do you think? What about you, teachers? Let's see. Oh, Julie said house number 6. We have Beyonce there. Okay, excellent. We have house number 6. What about the others? Julia Romero said house number 5. Okay. Yes. Jefferson said house number 3. We have different opinions. Excellent. Now, the activity doesn't stop there. If you're using this activity with your students, you have to ask your students why. Okay, why did you choose house number 3? Why did you choose house number 5? Yes. If you want to promote collaboration, okay, now you're going to work in pairs and you're going to have a discussion, right? Talk to your partner and tell your partner which of these houses, you chose. And then when we return to the main classroom, you are going to report back on what your partner said, right? So that you can make the activity more collaborative, more communicative, right? Especially if you're dealing with large classes, right? Excellent. Nice. So you see, but Michael, how did you create this activity? Or Michael, I want to change these celebrities that are here because it doesn't suit my students' interests. My students don't know who Justin Bieber is. My students don't know who Miley Cyrus is, right? I found a website that allows you to personalize these templates or activities, okay? And I'm gonna share the website here with English Teachers in Peru, and they will share the link with you. Okay, the page is called imgflip.com, meme generator. Yes, I love that website because you can personalize your memes, but not only the teacher, but also your students. You can ask your students to create their own memes. That will be more memorable, right? You can assign this as homework, right? Maybe your students can prepare a meme by themselves, right? And you know, they are creative, they are tech savvy, so they can easily do that. Or you can edit your own memes according to the activity that you have. For example, here you have house number 1. You can personalize it, right? Choose your quarantine house, or which of these houses would you like to, which of these houses would you choose, right? And you can personalize the activity by changing the names. Let me show you some examples here. Yes. Maybe you want to change the name. Maybe you want to type here Mark Anthony, or maybe you want to type here Adele, Amy Winehouse. So you're gonna easily change the text, right? Yes. Or you can maybe type other things, right, related to the context. I'm just giving you an example, yes, but it's up to you. That's why you need to check the course book, and you can make it more memorable, okay? The ideas are endless, right? You can do many activities here. And you can also use other memes, right? As you can see, you have the templates, right? You just have to come up with the idea, right? For example, last class, this is what I did with my students. We were talking about language skills and which skill and which of the 4 skills is the most difficult one. One of my students came up with this idea. He changed, or he modified this meme, yes, and he wrote this: speaking and writing, yes, and below he wrote listening and reading. And he said, teacher, the reason why I created this meme is because I find speaking and writing difficult as opposed to listening and reading. I can easily listen to podcasts, but when it comes to speaking, I struggle to communicate. You see? Great ideas. Amazing ideas, right? But of course, you have to design the activity according to your students' needs. I'm just giving you some examples. Yes. Excellent. So you see. Yes. Maggie said, can you use cartoons? Yes, you can use cartoons. I mean, the thing is that you have to find, yes, the correct pictures. Or you can also upload some pictures there. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, again, I'm gonna repeat the name of this website, IMG Flip. I shared the link in the chat box, so probably English Teachers in Peru will share it one more time in the comment section. Yes. Yes, that's it. Okay. So a great idea for your classes. Excellent. Now, what other websites can I use? Right? Another website that I like to use, especially for productive skills, is this: conversation starters. Sometimes we struggle to create questions, right? And this website, conversation starters, provides you with different and interesting questions that you can use in your classes. I'm gonna show you here some websites. Yes, we have conversationstarters.com, as you can see, and we have would you rather questions, right? And it generates questions randomly, as you can see. Yes. What is the biggest physical challenge that you have faced? Have you ever peed in the shower? Are you a morning or a night person? What do you do when you are bored? Of course, as a teacher, you have to select the questions carefully because you need to consider your students' language proficiency level, right? But not only that, here you have other options, icebreakers, simple icebreakers that you can use. Again, I'm gonna share the link one more time, conversation starters, and English Teachers in Peru will share it with you, okay? We have icebreakers that you can use, questions that you can use when your course starts, right? Or on the first day of class, childhood questions, schoolwork topics, relationship questions, sports conversation starters, and so on. The idea is that you have to select the right questions, okay? And as we said before, you need to consider your students' language level, okay? Now, Michael, I don't like these questions because these questions are not appropriate for my class. Do you have any other resource? Yes, there is one website that is called, let me just type it here, Speaking Questions. Yes, for some reason it's not loading today. Let me just type it here. Yes. Okay, no, it's not loading, but you can check this website because I have been using this website for a while, and it provides you with a lot of speaking practice, right? You have different sets of questions according to the theme of your class. Maybe you are talking about environment, there are questions about environment. Maybe you're talking about culture, there are questions about that, right? So it helps you a lot. Again, the name of the website is this one. You can check the website later on. Yes. It's called ITESLJ. That's it. Probably they are updating the website, that's why we cannot see it here. But the idea is that you can use these resources to find the right questions for your classes. Okay, great. Now, remember that a few minutes ago, I showed you some supplementary resources, and there is one that I particularly like. Remember that the resources that I'm sharing with you are free, right? So that means that you don't have to pay any membership, or you don't have to take a course to use these websites because they are intuitive, they are user-friendly, okay? Let me know in the chat box, have you ever used Vocaroo? Have you ever used it? Let me know, please. Only with a yes or no. Have you ever used this resource? I can see some yeses here, yes, or some thumbs up. I assume that your answer is yes. Rocio said, no, never. Nope, nope, never. I'm glad when you say no, because you're gonna learn something new, Okay, most teachers are not familiar with this tool. I like it because you're gonna learn how to use it. And if you use Vocaroo, and this question is for the students, sorry, for teachers who use Vocaroo. How do you use Vocaroo? Because there are multiple ways on how you can use it. But I would like to ask the teachers who said, yes, I use Vocaroo. How do you use it? Yes. Let's see. So while you are typing your answers, let me give you an idea. Or let me give you the definition of Vocaroo. What is Vocaroo? Vocaroo is a simple and free audio recording tool which works in the web browser of all personal computers and mobile devices. You don't have to install the app. No login or account is required. And you can quickly share recordings via link, Twitter, email, QR code, and many other ways. So, to put it simply, yes, Vocaroo is an audio recorder. Yes, but Michael, how can Vocaroo help me? Let me show you some examples, okay? Let me show you here some examples on how I particularly use Vocaroo. You can steal these ideas and you can incorporate these ideas into your classroom. Let's see. So, the first thing, let me highlight the first idea, is this: feedback and comments. Learners and teachers can provide voice comments rather than text-based comments. And that's true, teachers. We tend to provide feedback, or we tend to provide students with written feedback. But what about oral feedback, right? So Vocaroo allows you to record your voice and you can provide your students with some feedback. Maybe they have to deliver a presentation, so they use Vocaroo to send you the recording of the presentation, and you can listen to the presentation and you can use Vocaroo to give your students some feedback. Let's see. Let me share the website with you. Vocaroo is here. So the only thing that you have to do is to press on this red button that you can see. You click, and as you can see, I have started recording. Yes, as simple as that, right? So you can react to what your student has said, and you can give your students some suggestions, right? Like, well done, I enjoyed your presentation. Now, let me give you some recommendations. Instead of saying you should to play, you can say you should play, right? Now, this is just a simple example. I'm just giving feedback to one of my students, right? So I'm not writing my feedback. I'm using Vocaroo to give my students some suggestions so that they can perform better next time. Once you're done, you click again on the red button, and then there is an option that says save and share. Yes, save and share. You click here, save and share, and it will provide you with a link. And look at these, teachers. You can send this recording to your students through email, WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can even download it. So you can even create your listening exercises. Maybe your book doesn't provide you with a lot of listening practice. So why not? Maybe you can create your own dialogues, or your students can create their own dialogues, right? So again, there are many things that you can do with Vocaroo. It's simple. It's a voice recorder, but you can do multiple things with it. Okay? Yes. Now, I know that now many teachers, students are familiar with podcasts. Okay? And another thing that you can do with Vocaroo is this. Learners can record and listen to themselves. Students can take notes on their grammar and pronunciation. And they can also use Vocaroo to rehearse their presentations. That's it. You can do this. But you can also tell your students to record their voices and to make a podcast. Maybe they have to come up with a dialogue, or they can talk about a specific topic. Let's imagine that the topic is about the environment. So you can ask your students to talk about the environment, and they can create an amazing podcast with a simple tool like this, right? They are practicing their speaking skills. They can critique on each other's work because you can listen to their voices, right? They can give feedback to each other, right? So this is a good way to develop and enhance your speaking skills, okay? So here we have some class activities: podcasting, making a character interview, right? Now, this is what I did with my students as well. One student, yes, pretended to be a famous celebrity, while my other student was an interviewer, right? So it was a nice way, to promote speaking by using a tool like Vocaroo, right? So let me know in the chat box, teachers, what do you think about it? Yes. Yes. Oh, we have here interesting, wonderful. Absolutely, Maria. You can make your classes more dynamic, right? But most importantly, since your students need speaking practice, you can give them that practice by using this tool, right? Great. Excellent. Now, what else can we do, teachers? Oh, I like this one. Break your own news. Yes. Now, Break Your Own News, as you can see, is a website that allows you to create headlines, news headlines, okay? And you can personalize those headlines, okay? This is one example. I created this with one training course that I delivered a few months ago. Yes, it was our last session, and I showed my teachers this example, and they were like, wow, Michael, how did you create this? I like it, And look at this. I said, today we have our last session. Teachers feel upset because they want more training sessions, right? And my students, in this case, my teachers, had a whale of a time. Yes, they laughed because of this news headline that I created, right? So as I said, you might know the tool, but if you don't know how to use it, then you cannot effectively exploit these teaching resources, okay? So you can make your lessons more dynamic, right? Or this is how I also use Break Your Own News for speaking practice. Most importantly, you can also ask your students to create their own news stories. Yes. This is one activity that we did. My student wanted to develop his speaking skills. So I said, okay, let's do something. This is gonna be your homework. And I know you're gonna like this. You are going to create your breaking news story and share how you feel today, right? And look at this creation that one of my students that one of my students shared with the class. Look at this. Imagine how tired we are. Tired, literally tired. Yes, amazing. Yes, this headline allows me to build rapport with my students, because then the question was, okay, and why are you feeling tired? You know, and a good conversation started because of this creation, right? Yes, and he was able to speak, you know, to share more about him. I was able to develop rapport. He was able to use this digital tool, and he did it pretty well, as you can see, right? And most importantly, he was able to develop his fluency because I asked him some follow-up questions, right? Now, another activity that you can do with this website is this. Create your breaking news story and report the news to the class, right? Let me show you another example. This is another example from one of my students. Breaking news. Mother is addicted to video games. She loves playing all day long. Now, the activity doesn't stop here. Now that your student has created this headline, he needs to report the news. He needs to expand, you know, and tell you what happened, you know. So he's able to develop his fluency, is able to use the language by using this tool, right? Instead of asking the student, what did you do last weekend, right? Or, you know, how do you feel today? Which are great questions, but if we use them all the time, we cannot add variety. Now, remember that you need to consider your student's proficiency level. I did this activity with a beginner, yes, and we were practicing the simple past. So my student had to tell me a story about this headline using past structures, simple past, regular verbs, irregular verbs, right? Teacher, she played video games last week, right? And also she played video games with her children, right? And she continues playing video games, you know. So my student was able to create this story, right? Just by using this tool, okay? breakyourownnews.com. Yes, let me share with you the website, okay, so that you can have an idea of how this website looks. Okay. Yes, Break Your Own News. As you can see, we just have to create the headline. And then we can add our own image. And you can choose your files, or you can upload a picture, right? And that's it. And then you click on download, right? As I said before, all the resources that we have are free. Yes, Carlos, the website is free. As I said, all the resources I'm sharing today are free, right? And are intuitive, as you can see. You don't have to create an account. You don't have to pay anything, right? And most importantly, they are simple to use, right? Okay, excellent. So your homework, teachers, is to explore these websites in detail. I'm just providing you with the resources, but if you don't put it into practice, you will forget, right? So try to explore these websites, right? Create, okay, your activities based on your students' needs, and based on the language focus, so that you can make your classes more effective. Great. Now, we talked about productive skills, but what about receptive skills? As we know, when we talk about receptive skills, we talk about reading and we talk about listening, reading and listening. And when it comes to reading, one of the websites that I love using is Musing Levels. I myself use Musing Levels to improve my reading skills. But what I like about this website is that you can also use it with your students. Your students can become autonomous and they can use this website as part of their routine. Okay? Yes, as part of their study routine. So let me share again Musing Levels. Don't worry because all this session will be recorded. Yes, so you can watch it again and you can check, the tools. Yes, but what I like about this website is that the news are divided into levels. We have a gamification element, levels. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Of course, if your students are beginners, they need to choose level 1. And the thing that they have to do is to select one of the news stories that catch their attention, and they can click on one of the levels. Let's go with level 1. Let's go with another one. Russia attacks Ukrainian cities. Okay, level 1. As you can see, we have a short text. Students are able to understand this text because the words are simple. And even if they don't understand, what I like about Musing Levels is that they provide you with the most difficult words. Explosion. What is explosion? When something breaks up with a loud noise. Power plant, a factory which makes electricity. Explode, to break up into pieces with a lot of noise. You see? So this website makes students' lives easier. Because it provides you with the words and you can select the levels. Maybe your students say, oh, you know what, teacher, level 1 is easy for me. It's a piece of cake. Okay, then you can click on level 2. And you can see the complexity of the text, right? As you can see. Level 1, level 2, and also level 3, right? As you can see. Yes? So teachers, what do you think about this website? Let me know, please. Is this website new? Have you ever used this website with your students? Yes. While you are typing your ideas, let me give you a quick activity. Every Monday, in order to develop my students' reading skills, every Monday, my students have to summarize the news story that they read using their own words. First, they develop their reading comprehension because they must understand the text in order to summarize it. And secondly, they practice their speaking skills, right? A simple activity, and this is part of our routine. Every Monday, one student, I choose a random student. Maybe today, Michael is gonna tell us what he learned in Musing Levels. Maybe next Monday, Mariela is gonna tell us what she learned, in Musing Levels, right? So it's a great website. Yes, you can do many things, right? Maybe this text is related to the theme of your lesson. Okay, use it, right? But students have that freedom to choose the articles that they want, right? There is a lot of content. Now, if they don't want to read, they can listen. Here you can see the recording. Can we check the recording?
Earlier this week, Russia launched a massive wave of missile strikes across Ukraine.
You see? So if your students are not into reading, they can also listen to it and they can improve their comprehension skills. Okay? So no excuses. Now, something that I forgot to mention is that you can download the app, the application. This is what I recommend as well. I ask my students to download, okay, the app on their cell phones. It doesn't matter if you have an iPhone or an Android, okay, it works. And that's it. They use it as part of their study routine because they need to know that learning a language is a matter of consistency. You need to be a persevering person. You need to be consistent in order to develop your language skills, right? And this website is not only for students, but also for teachers. As I said, I learn new words. You know, I don't know this word. I don't know the meaning of this word. I'm not a walking dictionary, but I am learning, right? Because we are lifelong learners, okay? So what do you think about this website? Let me know, please, in the chat box. Great, excellent. We have positive comments here. Nice. Excellent. Okay, so you see, yes, the idea is that you can implement it. Okay, great. Okay, now I'm gonna give you my last websites just to wrap up the session. But before I show you the last resources, I would like to talk about this, authentic materials. Yes, you have probably heard this term before, but let me remind you about this term. Let me refresh your memory in case you have forgotten the term. So authentic materials are written or spoken texts used with learners without changing the level of language. That's true. Remember that authentic materials have not been designed for English students. They have been designed for native speakers. For English people, right? However, we as teachers like to use authentic materials for educational purposes, right? Or because we want to provide our students with extra practice. Let me give you an example. It says, a story from a news web page, streamed radio, story from a CD-ROM, a podcast, or a live native speaker talking to learners without adjusting the level of their language. Yes? And I'm gonna show you some examples. TED Shorts. Oh, I love it. Yes. This is a podcast, actually. And as the name suggests, TED Shorts provides you with different podcasts that last 5 to 7 minutes. No more. And they provide you with new vocabulary because, you know, we are talking about authentic materials, right? Different accents, of course, sophisticated vocabulary, but you learn about a new topic. Yes, there are different topics: health, environment, politics, culture, etc. Now, you are familiar with this, BBC News. This is another example of authentic materials, right? Again, let me emphasize this. Authentic materials have not been designed for English learners. They have been designed for native speakers, right? But why not use these resources, right, to provide support to our students? And I like this. We have Netflix, right? TV shows, movies, right? You're familiar with it. But teacher, what if I don't have a Netflix account? YouTube. If you have access to the internet, I'm sure everybody has access to the internet. That's why you're watching this webinar. You can download the YouTube video, right? And you can share it with your students, right? And I love YouTube. When I ask my students, I ask them, what YouTube channels are you subscribed? What YouTube channels do you follow? And they start telling me all these popular Latin YouTube channels, and they consume a lot of content. Okay, and I say, you should do the same, but instead of following, Latin YouTubers, why not follow English YouTubers? That is authentic material. Yes, there is a big English community on YouTube, and you can find loads of topics, okay? And that's why the needs analysis is important, because I can give different recommendations to my students. I have one student who loves playing chess. Yes, and I said, okay, if you type on YouTube the word chess, I'm sure you will see a lot of content in English, and you will be able to understand that. And this is my recommendation, because if students are not motivated, by the topic, they will not be able to exploit this resource. I can give you the resources, but if you are not into them, you will not exploit them, right? You will not exploit these resources. You will not squeeze them, right? So the idea is that you can find your interests. And this is what I say to my students. In my case, I'm a multi-passionate person. I love learning about finances, digital marketing, teaching, right? And all this information is available on YouTube. You have a lot of educational videos out there. There are a lot of podcasts. If you go to Apple Podcast, you type one of the topics you're interested in, and Bob's your uncle. You can find all the topics there. Yes? So when I tell that to my students, they say, oh, teacher, you are right. I've never thought that before. Well, now you have something to do, right? Go to YouTube or go to any social site. Instead of watching TikTok trends, why not spend time, consuming English content? Because you're going to acquire the language naturally, right? And I also recommend books, right? You are probably familiar with this book. Yes. Atomic Habits, Hábitos Atómicos, right? Which is a great book. I also have it in English, and I model it. Students, like, you can buy these books or you can download them for free, right? Yes. So it's great to do that. Yes, because your students will find a lot of value, right? And they will also start finding all these resources in English. So the idea is that they can change their minds, right? Yes, English is not only about, grammar books, tedious exercises, right? Boring textbooks. There is more that we can do with it, right? Okay. And finally, I would like to finish my presentation is this. I would like to read this quote for you, teachers. It's essential to have good tools, as we saw today. But it's also essential that the tools should be used in the right way. As I said, teachers, it's not about using all these beautiful things that we have on the internet. It's about being fruitful and effective with those resources. Again, questions that you have to ask yourself before you choose certain materials. Why am I using this website? What will my students get out of it? Is it relevant? Does it suit my students' needs? Right? These questions will allow you to take better decisions. And most importantly, these questions will allow you to select resources effectively. Okay? So next time you want to use a new tool, ask these questions first. Ask yourself these questions before you take any decision. I know some classes last 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. We have different teaching contexts, but you need to exploit these resources, right? It's not about showing off these resources, okay? It's about using them effectively. Thank you so much, teachers. It was a pleasure to share this webinar with you. Yes, I really enjoyed the chat box, so many ideas there. You were also able to share your resources, right? And some websites that you suggested. So it was a win-win situation because I was learning from you, because there are new websites, and every single year there are new websites that are on the internet. The idea is to ask ourselves if those websites are relevant or if those websites suit our students' needs. Thank you so much. Great.
Thank you so much, dear Michael, for this wonderful presentation. I know that it was really, really useful for all the English teachers. Thank you again. Now I have some questions for you. And let me share the questions. First, some greetings for you from Ecuador. Mrs. Ana Maria from Ecuador says, good evening, everybody. Hello, Michael. I am Harun from Egypt. Teachers from Colombia, from Mexico, Argentina, and obviously Peruvian teachers are here. So happy with your presentation, dear Michael. So now we have the first questions from Delina Mozombite Tuanama. She says, how we can teach to rural school without internet? Maybe we can adapt these resources. Maybe you have an idea, Michael.
Sure, that is an interesting question. I knew that question was coming. And one of the suggestions I can give teachers is that, okay, maybe your students do not have a good or a stable internet connection, but still you are watching this webinar. So my recommendation is that you can prepare the resource by yourself. You can print it. Most of the websites that I shared with you, for example, memes, the website about memes, headlines, once you create those documents, you can print those documents, right? You can take a picture with your cell phone. You can, if you have a WhatsApp group, you can upload it there, right? And you will be able to teach it. The interaction will still be there. Or if you are in the physical classroom, if you have your material ready, once you have printed, you can show it to your students, right? So you don't need to have, in this case, a head projector in your classroom, right? Because you can still exploit that resource. And one more suggestion before we move on to the next question. There is one website that I forgot to mention that is especially for teachers who do not have internet connection. The website is called Plickers, okay? Plickers is a website that allows teachers to create quizzes, right? Especially for students who do not have the resources, such as the internet or maybe laptops or any other device. They just have to print a QR code, as you can see in the picture, right? And the teacher, of course, the teacher needs to have a cell phone, right? And the teacher will simply scan the answers, right? That is gonna be your homework, teachers. Plickers, okay? Plickers.com, Okay, so I want you to do more research about it because this is another webinar. I know it will take us a lot, but find out more information about this website, Flickrs, so that you can use it to your advantage. Okay, yes, the website is this one, Flickrs. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yeah, this is a great idea. I used Flickrs and yeah, it's really easy and students like it. Another questions for you, Michael, from Janet. She says, can you give us a website tip to improve writing skill? Because I suppose because the writing skill is difficult for our students. It's difficult to develop this skill.
Sure, yes. There is one website that is called Make Believe's Comics, right? Let me just type it here. So Make Believe's Comics is a website that provides you with worksheets, right? And there is a section that says ESOL, right? And teachers. So if you check or if you go to this section that says teachers, you are going to see printables. This is the option I recommend, printables and also writing tools, even lesson plans, right? And all these resources are free, right? You just go right there, you go to this option, writing tools or printables, and you can download, in this case, some worksheets, yes, that focus on writing, right? So they ask you questions like, write about your life or complete this conversation. So these are prompts that we can use in class in order to foster writing, right? So let me share the website in the chat box and then you will see it in the comment section. Again, I emphasize the name is Make Believe's Comics, okay? Yeah. That is the website I recommend a lot.
Okay, Michael, thank you. It's fantastic because the students love comics and I know it will be so useful. Another question for you here, Michael, it's from Janet Luz Albarracin Quispe. She says, can we use Buckaroo to send recordings into Google Classroom?
That's an interesting question. Actually, you can, because if you have the link, you can copy that link and you can put it in Google Classroom, right? You just paste the link right there, and it's like a WhatsApp link or a link that you send to a friend, right? You just click there and you can open it. But you can put it in different websites. You can even put that link on Facebook, on WhatsApp, right? Or in Google Classroom, right? So you can easily put it there because it's a link. You just click on the link and you will hear the recording immediately. So yes, my answer is yes. You can put it in different platforms, right?
Okay, great, Michael. Thank you. And another question here from Nancy Alvarez. She says, what strategies can you plan or recommend if you have the students in low level? It happens in public schools. Maybe most of the students are in pre-A1 or A1 level. So maybe you can recommend some websites or strategies, Michael, for all the teachers.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So first of all, we talked about selecting materials, but we also talked about adapting materials, right? So when you have a new resource or a new website, for example, News in Levels, right? There are, as we said before, different levels that you can choose, right? If you have beginners, if you are teaching beginners, you can modify the materials, right, according to your student's level, right? Another thing that I recommend is this, the use of menus. When we talk about authentic materials, you can find some menus, right? Because you can find here simple vocabulary or even flyers. You know that in flyers, teachers, when we have flyers, you see a lot of simple information, simple vocabulary. So you can find flyers or advertisements on the internet, and you can ask your students simple questions like, What is the product that they are promoting? What are they selling, right? Or if you have a flyer about maybe a celebrity, what is the name of the celebrity? How old is the celebrity, right? What is his last name, right? So these are simple resources, in this case, authentic materials that we can use for A1 students. Again, menus, flyers, right? And also news in levels. And most importantly, modify the material, the resource. You can reduce the level of complexity, right?
Okay, thank you, Michael. Excellent tips. And this is the last questions from Iris Sambula. She says, where can I find digital books for my students? Maybe you can share a website, Michael.
Digital books for English students. Okay. When it comes to books, I know one website that is especially for English students, but it's called fables.com. Let me find it here. Fables for English learners. Yes. Okay. Or reading materials. If you type these keywords, reading materials or fables, right? As you can see, you have a lot of reading material for your classes. I don't have any reading website now in my mind, but the websites that I can share with you are read.gov. It says fables for children or even for English students, because what I like about fables is that they give you a moral at the end. Okay, so you can teach that as well. And the language is simple, so that means that you can use it with beginners, even pre-intermediate, right? Or upper intermediate, depending on the level. Now you have to find the right fable according to your students' language level, right? But those are the websites that come to my mind. Let me just share it with you. 1 second. Yes, that's it. Okay.
And we can use maybe values through these fables, no? Yeah, it's a nice idea. Thank you, dear Michael. Thank you again for this amazing presentation. Please, Michael, stay with us some minutes more. We are going to continue with the last part of this session. And now it's time to know our guest speaker for the next week. And for this part, please, teacher, Jessica Carguabilca. Dear Jessica, are you there?
Yes, I
No.
am. I am here.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Jessica.
Well, let's see. Yes. After today's wonderful webinar, right? Yes, with Mr. Michael Navarro. We are happy for that. Next week, we are going to continue with our webinars. And the speakers that we are going to have are Mr. Luis Guerrero and Miss Cristel Oyola. They are coming back. And they are going to talk about how to use let's see, the competency-based education approach in our classrooms. Yes, and the best of all, they are going to share some activities that we can use with our students. Wonderful, isn't it? Yes, of course. So next Saturday, don't forget that we are going to continue with a nice webinar. Okay? So, my dear students, you can miss it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, dear Jessica. Now you know, dear teachers, we have an amazing webinar for the next week. And now it's time to share the exit ticket. Teacher Kurt Vilela, are you there, dear Kurt? Can you share
Hi.
the exit ticket? Yeah, yes.
Yes, Mary.
Okay, go.
Okay. Michael, once again, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And I'm sure the community English teachers in Peru is really grateful for the things you show us today. So thank you.
Thank you so
Now
much.
is the turn for the exit ticket. And you have to pay attention to the letters. So here they are. HTTPS, dos puntos, dos slashes, todo en minúscula, CUTT, punto seguido, L, Y, un slash más, y sixth, spring. 6, 7H, la S está en mayúscula, PRING. So, hurry up, because you have only 15 minutes. Now is the turn for the farewell. Mary Ella.
Thank you, dear Kurt. Yeah, please, teachers, don't forget to complete your information, all your information, especially your email address in a correct way, yeah, in order to send you the webinar resources in the next week. So now it's time to say goodbye, dear teachers. Now you have with you this amazing administrators team from different regions of our dear country, Peru. And thank you for all of you, dear EDIT administrators, and thank you to all the teachers, English teachers in Peru and around the world. Now, please, administrators and dear Michael, turn on your cameras. Listos todos entonces para cerrar el día de hoy con este grandioso webinar. Michael, quiero agradecerte de todo corazón realmente por el tiempo que siempre dispones para toda la comunidad, para todos los maestros, compartiendo todo lo que conoces, siempre estás actualizándote, siempre al día con todo, cada pregunta que el día de hoy te han hecho, cada recurso que te han solicitado, lo has compartido al minuto, lo has explicado. No sabes, Michael, lo valioso que es para nosotros, porque muchas veces pues sentimos que no sabemos con qué vamos a hacer, con qué enseñar, nos falta material, no hay material, y realmente esto es muy, muy valioso para nuestra práctica docente, y lo más bonito y lo mejor de esto es que puede llegar a nuestros estudiantes y mejorar la calidad de educación que nosotros brindamos. Y esto que has hecho en esta presentación y que siempre haces, porque siempre estás compartiendo, es algo que realmente trasciende. Así que de parte de todo el equipo administrativo aquí, un gran aplauso, súper aplauso para Michael por esta genial presentación. Querido Michael, tal vez algunas palabras de despedida para toda la audiencia.
Sí, muchas gracias ante todos, agradecido una vez más por la invitación, y qué bonito se siente cada vez que pasan un tiempo, ya serían un mes, 2 meses o 3 meses después de dar otro webinar, vengo con nuevas ideas, con nuevos conocimientos, y eso es lo bonito, ¿no? Vengo con más experiencia, y esa experiencia lo comparto con todos los maestros acá presentes, y si bien es cierto, todas estas ideas lo van a aplicar, nos desarrollamos profesionalmente, y lo bonito es que todas estas ideas lo aplicamos con nuestros estudiantes, que es lo más importante. Ellos son los que al final se van a beneficiar mucho más, y ese es el propósito, ¿no? De seguir compartiendo recursos con todos los maestros, a seguir desarrollándonos profesionalmente. A mí me encanta bastante el desarrollo profesional, personal, y crecer también como personas, como humanos. Y eso es lo bonito, ¿no? Solamente, bueno, decirles que esta semana voy a empezar a subir también videos educativos, así como han visto, de English with Michael, ¿no? Entonces, seguirme ahí en la página de English with Michael, que estaré compartiendo recursos, esta vez videos, porque siempre comparto ahí los posts. Y bueno, nada, ya vienen también buenas sorpresas, un website que ya lo estaré compartiendo ya a futuro con ustedes y la verdad, todo eso se hace con mucho cariño, ¿no? El propósito es siempre compartir y de eso se trata, nada. Por más que yo aprenda nuevas tecnologías, no solamente basta con tenerlo acá, sino compartirlo con los demás, ¿no? Y eso es lo que a mí me da satisfacción y me llena, ¿no? Me hace crecer como persona, ¿no? Y me reafirma de que he escogido la carrera correcta, que es la enseñanza. Así que mandarle un saludo a todos los maestros y ya nos estaremos viendo en otra oportunidad. Muchísimas gracias.
A ti las gracias. Esto demuestra realmente la calidad de profesional y de ser humano que eres. Muchísimas gracias, Michael. Siempre te estamos siguiendo. Recuerden que pueden seguirlo en su página de Facebook, si por ahí lo dejas para que lo vaya fijando, Post English with Michael. Y también igual comparte en el Facebook de la comunidad. Entonces vamos a estar atentos porque todos te seguimos, querido Michael. Y bien, llegó el momento de decir adiós. Aquí está mi querido equipo administrativo, todos mis colegas, el alma, ahí está, la administradora del grupo 2 en WhatsApp. En WhatsApp es una locura, querido Michael, tenemos como varios grupos y en cada grupo hay un administrador. Y también en el grupo de estudio número 14, mi Jessica Carguavilla. Estamos llevando, linda, qué linda ella. Estamos haciendo también un grupo de estudio para nombramiento completamente gratuito, compartiendo con varios docentes ahí tips y demás. Excelente, a todos los maestros también agradecerles ese entusiasmo y por supuesto a todos los administradores de la comunidad que sacan del tiempo de donde no hay, porque todos somos docentes y laboramos, pero ahí están siempre compartiendo, guiando, enseñando y aprendiendo, porque aprendemos mucho también haciendo lo que hacemos. Querida Jessica, muchísimas gracias a nuestra querida administradora del grupo 2 y grupo 14 del grupo de estudio, mi Sulamita Chuden, que ha estado con nosotros, nuestra querida administradora, Kurt, mi querido amigo, Kurt Vilela, con todos ustedes, el día de hoy mi administrador, también Ricardo Núñez y Nostroza, que este fin de semana ha estado a cargo del grupo de estudio, junto con Mrs. Carguavilca, ambos lo han hecho genial a los dos, y por supuesto José Ortega, que está detrás de toda la transmisión. Bye, bye.